In this SUPboarder review, we're going to be looking at the SIC RS 14x26 all-water raceboard. This is from Maui-based brand SIC, and the designs are from very well-respected and known shaper Mark Rafost. The RS range of boards is a brand new range of boards for 2018, and the RS stands for Rocket Ship. The specifications for this RS is 14 foot long, 26 inches wide. It's the 306 litre version. It weighs 11.9 kilograms when we put it on our scales, and it comes as a single US box fin, and it retails in pounds £2,755. The materials and construction of this board, it has an EPS CNC cut core with a full carbon wrap, multiple layers of glass and a Negra. So definitely focusing around the rail area, there is a Negra, and also the 3mm reinforced deck area under your standing area. And up at the nose cone, they have also wrapped in Negra around the board as well. So moving away from the catalogue stuff, let's move on to our SUPboard impressions. And first we're looking at the styling and the fittings that come on this board. So this SIC, as with all of the other boards in the brand, are very simple, stylish and colourways is how they approach it. Nothing really brash and in your face, so very crisp and simple. And it really does flow, that whole message does flow throughout the whole of the board, including the design as well, which we'll move on to in a minute. So looking at the fittings around the standing area, starting for the deck pad, crocodile EVA deck pad, full length of the board, offering you a large amount of grip. No deck pad at the back there, just a smooth surface right to the back of the board. There is a small tie-down bungee area at the front there, which to be honest is quite handy because you could be looking at this board a bit more of a cruising, fast cruising touring board as well as performance racing as well. So you could put your sandals, maybe a waterproof kag or a water bottle under that area there. The handles either side of the bungee straps are really nice. They stand out, really easy to hold, large amount of resistance, they pop back up into position, and they are neoprene wrapped with the SIC logoing. Very smart handles, really like them. Gore-Tex built-in pressure valve, so you haven't got to worry about taking it in and out. It's got multiple leashing points, one at the midsection there and one at the tail, so if you're running in a downwind position or in a surf or a bop environment, when you're running out of the beach, you want to keep your leash in the best position, you have got those choices there for you. Up at the nose, it's got an FCS mount, you could put your GoPro in, other sort of stuff you could connect in there. Moving back towards the handle area, the SIC handle is probably the only handle on the market like this. It offers a huge dug-in handle, padded sort of EVA right the way round, very easy to use, and it's definitely, I'm going to say, the most comfortable handle we've used. From a racing point of view, running out of the beach, you don't trip on it, it's flat, it's flush, it's very, very nice. At the side of the handle, you've got your water channels, which means if you do get any water on your deck, it does come out and go out into the water, so you don't hold much water on the deck itself. Looking at the shape itself of the deck and the standing area, because it is nicely recessed and it has quite a nice lip to it here, we just find that when we're paddling it, it's very nice to have your feet directly up either side of this lip. Gives you a good amount of stability, and it's a really nice sort of feeling to know where your feet are on the board. You can feel more locked in by putting your feet right on the edges there. The deck then raises up towards the tail and offers you a large, really large flat area for doing your step back turns and actually working yourself way back on the board if you're getting into downwind situations you need to trim the board by getting further back. So we are now moving on to the shape and design of the board a bit more. The big thing to notice about this board compared to other top-end brand boards that are out there is it's very simple and crisp. There is no, like the graphics, there's no big concaves, double concaves, triple concaves. There's very subtle, smooth changes to the shape of the board. The nose shape of the board has got the classic open water, all water semi-displacement nose. It can easily bury if you're going down a wave, but it does not catch. It'll just pop you out again. The water shrugs off the board, and you don't actually get that much water in the deck area itself, even though it doesn't look like a very high area here. Like some other boards in the market, they're quite big and chunky up the front. This is a very smooth and subtle design, like I just said. Moving down the rails of the board, you have a very smooth rail shape and actually a relatively sharp rail from about the sort of 4 feet from the back, and it starts to really sharpen off right to the tail of the board, which is there to aid the fast water release and actually stop the board from rolling and actually being a bit more stable in the choppier waters. It's not until you turn the board over and look at the bottom of the board and the bottom shape itself, you can really see how simple and how subtle this board design is. Unlike other boards in the market where they've got big concaves, maybe double concaves, triple concaves, sharp rails, this is a very subtle designed board. Pretty much flat up at the nose there, about a foot back. Moving back, the board is still pretty much flat across the width, but there is a very sort of where it's coming onto the rails, the board is slightly beveling off, but very subtle. Moving back just in front of where the channels start, the board again is pretty much flat, maybe a slight sort of bevel to the rails there. Then as you get to the main central channel of the board, there is a slight convex, which is where the board comes up at the middle and down in towards the channel edge. And actually at the side of the board, the rails very slightly start to bevel off. Moving our straight edge back, it's a little bit more pronounced in the channel, giving you a deeper channel either side with a higher central area. And again, the side of the board is very slightly beveling off. Now you've got to remember, when it comes to board designs and especially bottom shapes with race boards, there is no wrong or right. Some designers will prefer a flatter bottom board like this one. Some designers will prefer bigger, more dramatic concaves of their boards. By having a virtually flat board at the bottom, it does make it very quick and very reactive at catching waves and bumps in open water. Then when the water's moving along towards the back of the board, it finds the channel, gives it a bit of grip, a bit more straight line tracking, and also a little bit more stability up towards the tail, and actually gives you a little bit of lift by concentrating some water in the middle section. By keeping the rails pretty sharp and the bottom relatively flat, it's going to give you a very quick release over the water. Moving back to the fin, it comes with an SIC weedless 8.3 inch fin, full carbon, nice and swept back, very nice shape, not too thick in the profile and very lightweight. A really nice fin that comes with the board. So last but not least, looking at the rocker line of the board, which is the curve from front to back, has a subtle amount of nose rocker, flat in the midsection with a very subtle amount of tail rocker. The sort of thing you would expect to see on an all-water, open water board, a board that can handle open seas, downwind conditions and flat water paddling. Now we've all tested this board, some of us had better conditions than others. When I got to have a crack at this board, it was not perfect conditions, let's say. I was home for a nice downwind run, but the wind had completely switched off and I had navy boats everywhere, so I couldn't get out as far as I wanted to. So I was left with paddling with a side chop and no wind, which really, when a paddling definitely in open water swells, is not the ideal conditions. But this board actually handled it really well, and I thought maybe because of the bottom shape, because it's quite flat, it would have been a little bit trickier to stay upright, but it wasn't. This board actually did handle those tricky conditions pretty well. And also, any slight chop that was coming in a slightly different direction, a bit confused off the rocks or off the coast, this board could catch any sort of bump. Any bump that was coming in that direction and you were paddling in the right direction and it was off and it wanted to go. Then if you manage to catch open swell or even a breaking wave, I can see why they call this the rocket ship. It does pick up very quickly from a slow speed to fast speed. And because of that nose shape and the nice flat area of the board, you can work yourself forward and back and really get the most out of those downwind and open water surf conditions. On flat water, because of its subtle bottom shape, it does make it feel very fast, and it's very comfortable for me to paddle between 5 to 6.5 miles an hour at an average speed all the time. I mean, I'm not a fast paddler by any means, but I do like paddling fast boards in lots of different sea states. So who do we think is going to best suit the SIC RS 14? Well, definitely is somebody who's really committed to paddling fast or racing because of the price tag, and it's going to offer you a very good all-round board for paddling flat water, open water and downwinding. Maybe you're going to have to be a little bit more technical with your footwork because it's probably not as stable as some of the boards in the market, but where it might lack in a slight bit of stability, it really makes up for with top end speed and early glide for wave catching. Rider weight, probably up to about 100 kilos if you're good with your footwork. Otherwise, there is a slightly wider RS 28 wide version 2. So pros and cons and value for money. Well, the pros has got to be the shape of this board. It's a very subtle design, but it really works well in a very wide range of conditions. And cons, well, maybe it's not as stable as some other boards in the market in bigger, rougher open water conditions. And the handle, as much as I love it, as in the best handle I've ever used, it also does hold quite a bit of water in the recessed area. Something you're going to have to think about if you're into that weight saving mission, as some SUP racers are. Maybe I just wouldn't have a beer and I go with this handle. Value for money, well, it's up there, isn't it? £2,755. It's not as expensive as other full carbon boards. It's definitely worth the money if you're committed to the sport, committed to going fast or racing. Definitely value for money. Hope you found that SUPboarder review interesting, informative. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to give this board back. I wish I didn't, but until next time, check out SUPboarder Pro, and we'll see you on SUPboarder Mag or on YouTube. Thanks a lot.